Damage is the most unique class in Marvel Rivals. 21 champions with blades set to make that 22 of different types of playstyles. Some shoot, some punch, some throw projectiles, and some that just kind of suck. But today's focus is gonna be on Phoenix, a Hitscan champion that really caught my attention when I saw her gameplay snippets. But it did feel kind of like I was cheating on my girl Hela, as she is by far my favorite Hitscan champion to play. So I decided to play her and only her for a few days to see if she's gonna be my new replacement for Hela or not. Now, on the surface, the two champions look very similar, with similar damage output per shot and fire rate. But this is where Phoenix differs from Hela significantly. Every shot that connects to an enemy, it applies a spark stack. Upon reaching 3 sparks, the stacks detonate and explode in a radius that can also damage nearby enemies, with surrounding enemies damaged by the explosion getting a spark stack applied to them while also healing you over time. And as is with other Hitscan DPS champions, headshots are heavily rewarded with Phoenix, as they apply 2 stacks instead of 1, giving you the opportunity to do a very quick burst of damage. Her shift teleports her a distance away while leaving a clone of her that detonates soon after to damaged champions. Now, comparing her shift ability to Hela's, we see that each have their pros and cons. Mainly that Phoenix's ability is instant, while Hela's has a wind-up time, while Hela's shift takes you further away compared to Phoenix's. But for me, the one fatal flaw with Hela's crow form is that you can't control her during it, making you a very predictable target. Pressing E with her enters a free flight mode that gives you extra speed while also replenishing your ammo continuously. And it's also an energy meter type ability, kind of like Human Torch. And if you manage this ability properly, she can be a very mobile champion, somewhere between other Hitscan champions. I wonder what her ult voice line is gonna be. I bet it's gonna sound awesome like Fear Magneto! Or maybe even like
The moon haunts you!
You are nothing!
Wow, they really had a long day at the office coming up with that one, huh? When you use her ult, you fly into the air, then come crashing down into the enemies below, creating a large explosion in a radius. The damage of the ult can be a bit disappointing, as it doesn't really one-shot squishies, but it definitely has some redeeming factors. For one, you can actually steer during your ultimate, so you can be more precise with where you want to land. And the most clutch thing with her ult is the fact that once you hit the ground, you go back to where you started your ultimate instead of just being in the middle of the enemies and being an easy target. Now, I saved her right click till after her ult because I genuinely think it's the best ability in her kit. Pressing it marks a spot on the ground that erupts with 3 energy explosions. The first one stunning enemies, with the subsequent ones slowing them down. And I know I reference Hela a lot here, but the similarities between their abilities is pretty on the nose here. But what's really important with her right click is that, like with most of her other abilities, it both stacks and detonates sparks. So if you correctly use her right click to stun multiple spark affected enemies, you can cause a serious chain reaction to go off that inflicts a ton of damage. So unlike Hela, who's really great at picking off isolated targets, Phoenix excels at group team fights. Now let's talk about how the games really went. For starters, it was a nightmare trying to get into a game where someone didn't immediately insta-lock her. Kind of like Ultron when he first came out. And I was at a severe disadvantage when trying to pick her before anybody else, since I had my game running off of my hard drive, which led to very long loading times. It also didn't help that post-patch, the game was unbelievably stuttery for me. I genuinely thought something was wrong with my PC and even took it apart to make sure that everything was actually fine with it, but it eventually seemed to fix itself for the most part. Also, when I first played her, I did what I always do. I went in blindly without even reading her abilities or doing any research. I guess my ego thought I was so good at the game that I was gonna roll through everyone with just my raw aim skills, but reality looked like this.
Wow!
I was going negative in most of my games, and I felt like I was seriously handicapping my whole team. I wasn't really using her abilities all that well, and I was playing her way too passively and not getting good value with her kit. So I made a little checklist that I followed in order to get better at her. Number 1, stop being a pussy. Number 2, stop being a pussy. And number 3, learn how to use her abilities properly. And well, yeah, that to-do list definitely helped, especially those first two. Now, as I was getting better at her, I wondered, what about other DPS champions? How do they compare to her? Well, it's obviously not fair to compare different types of damage champions, even if they are in the same class. But I am going to compare her to two other champions that I do play a lot. First up, we have Iron Man. And straight off the bat, besides their obvious differences, Iron Man is a lot more aggressive in his playstyle compared to Phoenix. Though you can play him in a more passive way from a distance with your rockets, using your beam to melt people is definitely the way to go if you want to win games. Letting my bias towards Iron Man aside, I still think he is slightly better than her. From his movement to his burst damage to his high damage ultimate, I don't think we're gonna see Phoenix stopping Iron Man in most situations. Though Iron Man does tend to be more comp dependent, while Phoenix can be easily played into most comps. Also, it does seem that the competitive scene agrees with me for the most part, because even though she was always insta-luck in quick play matches, I wasn't really seeing that in my competitive matches at all. Then we have my boy Bucky. Now, he's always been seen as this very easy champion to play and do very well with. And although I do agree for the most part, considering his easy to use kit mixed with his insane sustainability, he still takes some time to get good at, especially getting used to his gun projectiles. He also is usually played more aggressively and to get picks off, especially with his hook, but lacks when it comes to the movement department, making him a very vulnerable target if played incorrectly. When comparing the two, I personally also lean more towards Bucky than Phoenix. I just found him to be more reliable to get picks with and a lot easier to survive with because of his overheal that you get a ton of. And when it comes to comparing ultimates, well, I'll just let the gameplay speak for itself. But what about other Hitscan champions? How does she compare to them? Well, and this comes with a great deal of pain to me, but I do think I prefer Phoenix over her counterpart, Hela. It's just so satisfying seeing all the burst damage you can do to enemies, and honestly, her movement abilities are simply better. Obviously, this could just be my preference, but I do think that more people would enjoy playing Phoenix over Hela. And whether she's better or worse than other Hitscan champions like the Punisher or Star-Lord will simply come down to whether you're more of a track and aimer or flicking aimer. So all of that out of the way, I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.